Hi guys! If you were working with me in class, we were probably working on some sight words. Sight words are words that we see all the time, and a lot of times they don't make sense the way that English rules work when we read. So we're going to talk about how you can practice sight words at home. That way your student is still learning them. If we look at my computer screen, I'm going to show you both a list that I use with my first graders and the list I use with my second graders. So, when I show you this list, I want you to work on these words with your students. Okay, find out which ones your student knows. Okay, maybe as you're going through, they can look at this picture, and you can take paper and just write down the words they didn't understand. If they say I, see, a, the, and they say lick instead of like, write down the word like so you know which words you need to practice with. Alright? I left my paper at school that shows me which words your students know. So this is a way that you can understand too what your students' reading abilities are and how you can help them with them. So as I said, this is the list that I use for first grade. And this is the list I use for second grade. Okay? Actually, let's use this one. Your students already know all this part that I scribbled out because they've been working on it from the beginning of the year. So yay to your students, because your second graders, they know all the first grade words. And there's 2 or 3 at the end of that list that they might practice more with you, and I'll give you more activities to do during the week that you can practice with those words as well. But here's the second grade list. Same thing. You can look at the words with your student and find out which words they know and which ones they might need more help with. And write them down as you go so that you can know which ones you should practice at home. I have these lines here. You can practice just 10 at a time. Okay, don't feel like you need to practice any of these extra ones. Same thing with the first grade list. Try to make sure they know these. If they don't know all the words in this column, then try to just work on those and do like 1 a day. Okay? So you could pause that video, go back, write these words down and activities with your son or daughter. And then I'm going to give you some things you can do to practice the words that they don't know. The first thing I want to do is you're going to get a to-go container. So I have an old Chinese food container that I'm using. Alright. And I got salt. Okay. You can either use a container of salt or sugar or any powdery substance that you have that your students can be touching. Okay, so what you do is you take your old container and you take your salt and you dump the salt into the container, and then you want to fill the bottom so that the whole bottom is covered. Once it's covered, you're going to take your finger, well, your student's going to take their finger, and they're going to write the word they're working on. So if the word is the, they're going to take their finger and they're going to say the letters that they're writing. T, H, E. Once they've written the whole word, they're going to tell you the word. The word is the. Okay? Then have them shake it up and do it again. They're probably going to need to look at the word. So if you want to write it on a piece of paper for them, okay, so that they can copy it, that would be great. So what's the word? The. T, H, E, the. Alright, so that's your first example of an idea that you can do with your student. If you don't want to use a to-go container, you can see that another parent took a plastic bag and they filled their plastic bag with that substance, salt, sugar, whatever, and then they laid it flat on the table. And then they grabbed a Q-tip, and their student wrote the word see that way. Alright? So that's just an idea of an activity that your students will enjoy and they can practice writing their words that way. If they don't have any of those things, they can take Legos and spell their words out. My first graders have used Play-Doh, and they squish the Play-Doh and they write the word that they're supposed to be writing that way. So those are all ideas of ways you can practice writing your sight words. Another thing that I really want you to make sure you're doing with them is they're going to create their own flashcards. And they can do that by taking any old notepad that you have at home that I can write on the front and the back of the paper. If you don't have a notepad, if you've got a big pad of paper that you can cut into smaller pieces, that would work too. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your notepad. On one side of the paper, I'm going to write the word, the sight word that we're working on. So let's say the word was the for my first graders. I'm going to take a marker and the student is going to write that word. Once again, you might need to have a paper that has that word on it so they can see it, because they don't know these words, so they're going to need help spelling it. Even if you tell it to them, that would be good too. So they're going to write the word. Have them say the letters as they write it. T-H-E, the. On the back of the paper, they're going to write a sentence using that word. If you have a pencil at home, I encourage you to use a pencil, but if not, pen or marker, they'll work. Okay? So if you are writing a sentence using the word the, I'm going to say, the dog is fast. The dog is fast. Alright, so there's a sentence that uses that word. In second grade, I know they use the word friend. So I'm going to spell the word friend on this paper. F-R-I-E-N-D. Friend. On the back, I'm going to write a sentence that goes with that sentence. My friend is fun. Okay? Now, when you have your papers, what you're going to do is you're going to use them as flashcards. So you'll take the papers that your son or daughter wrote, and you can show it to them and say, what is this word? And they're going to say the word to you. If they don't know it or they say it wrong, we're going to do what's called the error correction procedure. There's 3 parts. The 3 parts are number 1, I do it. I read the word. The second word is we do. Both of us are doing it together. And the last part, you do. Just your son or your daughter is going to read the word. So if I look at this word and I say he, alright, if my son or daughter says he, but the word is the, I'm going to fix it and say it first. I'm going to say the. Say it with me. We both say the. And then your son or daughter says it by themselves. What is the word? Very good. Okay? So if your son or daughter is having problems with the word, just do that procedure. Those 3 things. I do, we do, you do. So that your son or daughter is able to learn these words. So those are activities that won't take very long and would be very good practice for your son or daughter. If you're reading a book tonight, maybe they can find some of those words in the book and read that word to you so that they get more practice with it. I hope these activities will be easy enough for you, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Don't forget, we have the website. that I've showed you, Lilo. Check that out for more practice. And the other websites that I uploaded last week for your son or daughter to look at so they get more practice with these things. I'll include those in this link as well. All right. I hope you guys have a great day. Happy Monday, and I look forward to working with you guys again this week. Have a good one. Bye.